Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the great culture again. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So we got Tim Scott, the South Carolina Republican senator. He gave a counter speech. President Biden had a speech the other night, and following the speech, Tim Scott had a counter speech to everything Biden said. And we know how this Biden presidency has gone. Done pretty much none of the things that he's promised. Uh, like everybody's, like everybody said, well, not everybody, but people like me and others who know what's going on said would go. He's he's an establishment guy. He's gonna do everything that they want him to do. He's a whole entire puppet out here, just like all the presidents, man. They always gonna have their guy in there, no matter what you think. No matter how outlandish you think the person is, like a person like Trump, it's always gonna be their guy, and they all pledge loyalties. You got Biden. You got Biden. He signed all these bills. And y'all know how I feel about hate crimes and things like that. Every crime is a hate crime in my eyes. And you want to have certain protections. You want to make sure that certain groups aren't being infringed upon. But you do that, that can get handled just by honoring the Constitution alone. You don't have to put all these smoke and mirror laws up. And that's all that's been happening. So you have, things like the Asian law, stuff like that, and, signing bills to protect them from hate crimes and stuff for the LBGT. But, nothing for black folks. Democrats claim to be, allies, and they're so against police brutality and different things like that. And we know the truth about police brutality, but just given the whole narrative that's consistently been promoted throughout the media, it doesn't match. Their response doesn't match their words. He's talking about trying to keep the foot off the necks of black people. So where's the legislation? I mean, let me know if I'm missing something, but where's the legislation specific for black people? Specific. Not anything, not no POC, per people of color, or BIPOC, stuff like that. Talking about exclusively exclusively for black folks. Why do other groups get their protections? And like I said, I don't think it should be none of that, but it says a lot. You got, they feel like criminal justice. That's what it is for black people. Not every black person is a criminal. And like I said, the president can't do much on that end anyway. There's really little the president can do anyway, because it's up to your state. It's up to your state and your local people to to follow the Constitution, and to respect everyone's rights. So anyway, we'll get back to, spend so much time talking about Biden, but we'll get back to Tim Scott. So Tim Scott, of course, he's a black man. So he's the perfect, because the Republican Party, they have a lot of repairing of their reputation. I mean, as if their reputation wasn't already destroyed. But, after everything that took place with Trump and, the whole thing that happened at the Capitol and everything like that, they're trying to repair their reputation. And they're trying to win over, the black vote. They've been trying to do this. Now, the way that they've done it, they consistently miss the mark. Because you have a lot of, just people who are butt kissers, especially in, different situations of people like Brandon Owens and but Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens. And I say this respectfully, a lot of the things they've said is just, flat out disrespectful. When you're talking about dealing with police situations, and instead of dealing with what we got in front of us and are the police who have a more responsibility in their position, are they doing the right thing? Well, we want to start talking about whether the people are criminals or not. And so you have a lot of people like that, and then, you got the same guys over and over again that keep talking about, racism is not a problem. And they find these black voices to come out and say that, because they don't want to be the ones that get put on the hook for saying that, even though a lot of them believe that. And not just them, as you're going to see. Not just them, because the Democrats are playing a game. Democrats are playing a game too. But he goes, he talks about how, racist. Now, he wasn't lying about this. It's definitely the truth. Race is being weaponized in this country. And it's giving people, we're giving people the green light to just basically, judge people just off the color of their skin. Simply because, we look at white people, we just assume is they're white, they're racist, and, you come from a rich family, this and that, without even knowing about the person. And that's wrong. And a lot of that behavior has been backed up. It's been acceptable. There's been no consequences for that. I'm all for it. Everything has to be done. Everything has to be done fairly. No matter what the circumstances are, it has to be done fairly. Just like, don't make no assumptions about no black person. You won't allow it. But you don't do it for white people either. And so he's right. A lot of bigotry, a lot of, white people haven't been given the benefit of the doubt on things, even when they just want to give their simple opinion on certain things, and it's not done in a malicious manner. You got people losing their jobs. And like I said, they call them names and different things like that. A lot of the things that, black folks do, if a white person did it, it'd be a huge problem. I mean, one example would probably, we call them white women, them complaining white women are Karens, right? And for me personally, I don't give a damn about all of that, but I'm just saying, just putting everything into perspective. Imagine, they start calling black women loquacious, like that movie, that crazy ass movie that came out, Keisha, calling them stuff like that. You'd have a problem with it. So, what makes calling white women a Karen when that's not her name? Like I said, it's just, it's not that big of a deal to me, if people go along with it and how people accept it. I mean, it is what it is, but, it's just putting things into perspective, like I said. So, you have a lot of unfairness on that end. Now, he addresses that. But then he loses everybody when he says, especially myself, when he says, America is not racist. And that's where he gets into that whole rhetoric like the Burgess Owens guy, Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, the people I stated before, the Herschel Walkers. Y'all saying the same thing and just completely ignoring history or how racism even truly works. Now, you want to speak about just people in a general sense? Nah. Most people are good people. You got a lot of bad folks, you got racists, on each side. But when you're talking about, addressing America, this whole country was built on racism. which is why everything is happening the way it is now. Everything is out of whack. That's what set the precedent for it. And so, it's the system. It's a system thing. And you're talking about a guy who's the only one of 11 African American U.S. senators. African, I say that just for layman's terms. We know ain't no African American, but Black American U.S. senators in history. Out of 1,300, only 11. And you're talking about the people who are currently 13 to 18 of the U.S. 13 to 18% of the U.S. population, and more than that in the past. The reason why there's only been 11 of you is because of racism. Because the tables have been turned, locking people out using various methods. That's just the history of America. It was built like that. It's a racist system, racist corporation. Corporation under USC 28, 302, section 302, 15. 302, section 15. America is a corporation. And so we all have parts to play. And black people have been designated at the bottom for that very reason. And so, for him to, that's just more rhetoric of that, silly stuff and all that, they bring up those weak examples like, if somebody like LeBron James or something like that is able to make it, then how can America be racist? When it's much more complicated than that. They're there because they make the money. Those guys make the money. They're going to capitalize off their talent. So they're willing to give, how many basketball players? About 300 basketball players, about 1,000 NFL players. And you're talking about out of and I'm just saying just those numbers. And you take however many's black out of that, but we're talking about out of 40 million black folks. That's a small number. So you can give some pennies and, give millions of dollars concentrated in that area. But how's the system set up for the everyday person in the corporate world? A lot of black folks are flourishing, but they really having to, dig down deep, ignore a lot of different things that happen, a lot of, not ignore, but overcome a lot of things that are a result of racism, state-sponsored racism, sponsored by the state. It was actual law to be racist. So even after he says that, then you have good old Kamala Harris backing him up on his claims. And she says the same thing. Now, it's something I would expect from a Kamala because she didn't grow up with a black family. She grew up very affluent and identifies primarily with her Indian side. And what do you expect from her? We know her history. I mean, you know how, her history of being the attorney general in California. So they're holding prisoners in past their term length, past their prison terms, so they use them for labor. She has a bad history. And, her history of pandering, talking about stuff that she, has no clue about, but trying to pander, which all the politicians do, but it's just foolishness. But you see who these people are. And they reveal themselves. But, it's surprising. surprising for a Democrat to come out and say that, but a lot of them do believe that. That's what they truly believe. No matter if they try to pander and try to act like they're allies and things like that. They're just in it for votes. And that's why, you got black people that vote Democrat at the rate that they do, but they don't get anything in return. They don't get anything in return consistently. And as for, Tim Scott. It's an old Republican shill. Republican shill out there to go out there and say one of those guys' talking points, but just put a black face on it so it'll be accepted. Won't be as much backlash. Now, the backlash that has been coming from it, some of the names and, calling them the coons and Uncle Toms, all of that, those are ad hominems. Those are ad hominems, and, there's no place for all of that. You deal with, like I always say, deal with the facts. Bring the truth out. That's it. Don't need any attacks on his character. Or you had the guy in Texas, the councilman in Texas, calling him a Oreo. Keep it professionalism. Keep it professionalism, But yeah, he's wrong. He's completely wrong for that. 11 out of 1,300. So that's all I got on this. Let me know what you think in the comment section. We'll have some more topics to expound upon. Got a lot going on in the news. So let me know y'all thoughts too. Till then, peace.